And folks, it's with great honor that I get to introduce or reintroduce a veteran of the United States military, Admiral Joe Sestak. Admiral, welcome back to Union Edge.
Charles, always great to be back with you.
Always a pleasure. We appreciate it, Admiral. And you are, in fact, running for Senate in the state of Pennsylvania. We appreciate that. And, of course, anybody else running for Senate, including Mr. Toomey, if you want to come on the program, we'd like to have you be treated fairly. Admiral, a couple of things we want to talk to you about. What is your take on the Iran deal?
I'm a supporter of it, a cautious supporter, because while Ronald Reagan said trust but verify with the Soviet Union, with Iran I say verify before you trust, because I've operated in the Persian Gulf, commanding my carrier battle group, where they're just a little bit away from there. But that said, 30 days from today, Iran can have enough nuclear bomb-grade material to build a nuclear bomb. 30 days from today, Charles. This sets them back for 1 year. And the centrifuges that are needed to spin it up are put into a closet, and there they degrade. It might be even more than a year. That alone is one major step why I support it, because it enhances our security and that of Israel for 1 year as a minimum.
So, Admiral, you're cautiously supporting it because it takes it from 30 days to 1 year.
Absolutely. And we have an intrusive verification regime, the very most intrusive one of any START or SALT talks we have with the Soviet Union, or what we have with North Korea, that has already exploded 3 nuclear devices. Today, there's no one on the ground. We will now have 150 people going on the ground for surprise inspections on any of those facilities that we today suspect or know have once been used for the nuclear infrastructure that they had. And we have the ability, even if we suspect that the Ayatollah is starting to build something in his basement, to go in there and inspect.
Well, there you go. And I appreciate your take on this very much. There are a lot of people out there that are hemming and hawing and so on and so forth, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that they're not worried about a weapon system so much as they're worried about Iranian oil flooding the market.
Well, we have to keep in mind Iraq, those who took us into that tragic misadventure, like Senator Toomey. And, my gosh, does anybody think we fixed Iraq for the better after having almost $2 trillion spent on that war, when you include the harm to our veterans who came home? So my take is, let's understand, if this agreement is not done, the cost of a military strike. The strike would be wide in breadth, deep in scope. Our carrier battle groups can't even find the submarines in the shallow waters of the Persian Gulf. Thousands of mines will be laid in the Straits of Hormuz by Iran. 20% of the oil comes through there that you were just speaking about. The markets will plummet. Oil will go up. The damage to the economy is immense, and the strike will take us weeks, probably months. And we can only stop their nuclear capability for 4 years to what have to be done again.
There you go. Admiral, let me turn you to minimum wage here in the United States. What are your thoughts about that $15 an hour?
Well, here's my thoughts. There comes a certain level where jobs do get lost, and there is a certain level to where labor, which has not shared since the mid-'80s into the increased productivity gains of our nation at all. It's flattened out. They used to get half of all the productivity gains. Half went to business, half of the productivity gains went to labor. Has absolutely ceased to come to labor. As a matter of fact, the minimum wage today is only 2/3 of what it was in 1968 in real buying power. I've done some analysis. We know that if and I've also watched the reality, we raise it just, let's say, the Senate proposal down there today. Let's say it's $10.15 or 25 cents. No jobs are lost. We've actually had here in the Philadelphia area, New Jersey raised their minimum wage a few years back to about 50% of the average hourly wage. And we here in Philadelphia did not raise it. Over a year's time, studies were done, not one job was lost. So I can tell you for certain that if you raise it to that you're not going to lose any jobs. More analysis needs to be done above that if you do with the $15, and that is what we have to look at, because you don't want to lose it. But can we aim for that? When the productivity comes back, you bet we can aim.
There you go. I think it's an important thing. I mean, Henry Ford had it right back in 1914. He decided that he was going to pay his assembly line workers $5 a day. If you extrapolate out $1914 to 100 years later, It's about 100, or it's about $15 an hour. Um, when somebody is making $15 an hour, they're not going to the county for housing. They're not going to the county for food. They're not going to the county for health care coverage. They can pay for those things themselves. And you know what? They tend to spend that money in the community that they live in. So that means more funds, more revenue, more business for the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker in and around any one of those businesses that's paying their employees $15 an hour. And when that happens, the butcher and the baker and the candlestick maker, well, they're probably buying other people's products too. So I think it's a good idea. And I think it stops businesses that have that minimum wage the business plan from doing that. I think we should go after those businesses, not the people.
2 points. One is we are a consumer-driven economy. And so your point about having fair wages for the workforce that has not occurred is what is lacking in helping to stimulate our economy. And, the second point is this. It's begun to be so bad that we actually are having government, we the people, pay for the salaries at Walmart's, pay for the salaries at McDonald's, because, as you know, you've got about a 300-person average-sized Walmart employee base. Probably, I think, I don't have the exact amount, but I think it's approximately $1.5 to $2 million a year of subsidies of their wages is paid by government because of the low wages they have there. They qualify for Medicaid. They qualify for government benefits like that. And so why are we subsidizing business when the productivity from business is increasing? All of it's going to business since the 1980s. None of it, very little of it at all, goes to labor.
Isn't that what our Republican friends are talking about when they say picking winners and losers?
Yeah, it's a shame. Look, I'm a big advocate of having business do what it did in the past. In particular, though, today, we've got to look at small businesses. Small businesses create 70% of all jobs today. You know what? Back in the 1970s, small businesses also create 70% of all jobs. But the problem is this. Back then, they were creating 36 new small businesses for every 10,000 working Americans. Today, it's exactly half. 18 new small businesses for every 10,000 working Americans. Our star running back small business is on the football field for half the game. Only 18 minutes, so to speak, instead of 36 new small businesses springing up every year for 10,000 citizens. We've got to get our small businesses, not the large corporations, to be the focus of getting them access to the mother's milk, capital to start up, so that they create jobs for people to come to.
Absolutely. Admiral, we got to get going, but before we go, how do we find your website?
My website is joe@joesestak.com, joe@joesestak.com. And Sestak, in our fellow military phonetic spelling, is Sierra for S. Sierra, Echo, Sierra, Tango, Alpha Kilo, SESTAK, joe@joesestak.com.
Admiral, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it, and look forward to talking again soon.
Always a pleasure. Have a great Pennsylvania day, Charles.
Thank you. Admiral Joe Sestak. In the meantime, I'm Charles Showalter. You're listening to the Union Edge Laborers Talk Radio.